Welcome everyone. And today's topic is around why perfection matters. And before you get all up in arms about that, I want to share with you my take on perfection, because a lot of people right now are thinking that perfection is not healthy, it's not helpful, it actually contributes to lowering our self-worth and all of that. And my perspective is a little bit different. You see, I feel like perfection is touching the face of God. Perfection is what human beings, when they don't have fear, when they're not riddled by fears, we all have this natural desire for perfection. And we can see that when we look at beautiful works of art. And we're just so amazed and so stunned, or a beautiful work of music. And so perfection is something that I feel is a spiritual directive of our soul. It's not something that we need to be afraid of. And as soon as fear gets in, that's why we have this uncomfortableness with perfection. So what I want to share with you today is when I went to Italy a couple of years ago, actually 3 years ago, and since then I've been there every year. And each year I go to see the David by Michelangelo. And why do I go back every single year? Because of the perfection of this massive, beautiful, what the Italians call the giant. And the story of Michelangelo is very interesting because when he was 13 years old, he was practicing his art in a bottega, which was where all the artists would go and they would start to do their sculpting or painting. In his case, he really had a love for sculpting, and so he created this faun, which was half man, half goat, and an older faun. And at the time, the ruler of Florence in Italy came by to see the students' work. And he looked at this faun. Michelangelo was there standing next to him. And he said, "Oh, this is really well done, but, this is an older man, so he should be maybe missing a tooth or show some signs of receding gums," because, of course, at that time that was common. So Michelangelo, instead of crying in his soup that he wasn't perfect, he went back and he worked on this sculpture at 13 for hours and 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 hours. And then he brought it back, and he wasn't in the room when Lorenzo de' Medici came by again to see the students' work a couple weeks later. And he took one look at this sculpture. I tear up every time I tell this story. He took one look at this sculpture and he said to the instructor, he said, "Bring me the boy." And Michelangelo came and he said, "I want you to come and live with our family. I want you to come and we will support you, we'll support your family." And that was the beginning of this poor boy's incredible lifetime of perfection in art. So it's a beautiful story. And now, because of that, we get to experience his works throughout history. Millions and millions of people have seen his beautiful works of perfection. And so I encourage you to think of mastery and perfection as something that's a soul-governed initiative. What can you do today to work towards touching the face of God in your global initiatives? If you like this video, please subscribe. On the right-hand side, there's a bell. You can click it and you'll get notified for the next video and upcoming videos. Have a wonderful day.